at a taste. So look, we're not going to give her the whole thing. Okay, we're just going to let her.
Maybe right here.
You're in charge of the video.
If she's like, oh, I'm talking and not holding her, which I fully expect.
And these two are
So I just
taken,
want you to
right?
hold it and just let her look at it. Okay? So just let her look. Yes. And we've got like a whole pouch on this over here. And keep her full of treats. And yeah, so when it gets so soggy and stuff, that you can let her eat it when it becomes like mush and, when it's it's freeze-dried beef. I think. Pretty sure that's freeze-dried liver. So is everybody in here that wants to be in here? We still have people wandering over.
Isn't it very flexible?
Yeah. Get to know each
The
other.
tripod. That's the little thing.
I think they're no, these right here. There's a couple extras.
Sorry, we're tight. We're squeezed.
You are tight. Thank you so much.
No, it's just a lot of.
Hi, Lance. Oh my gosh, you look sexy twice.
So good to see you. I want to give you a hug, but you've got this one on your lap.
Yeah.
It's really good to see you.
Oh, I was busy talking to
I'm just gonna hold this
you. Hold it.
for now.
I'll click.
That's okay. We can always have more of them.
Thank you.
Let me grab you one. Nope. I was gonna grab it. You want me to make it tomorrow?
I'll just stand in front of the.
Uh-oh. We went to sleep here.
There. Oh, I can jump over that, but.
No, you're good. I don't want me to set you silly.
Well,
It's not bad. I blew out my knees, so I'm like lame.
I'm sorry. Do you have more handouts? Oh, yeah, I've got more handouts.
Sorry, I didn't know where to grab one.
Yeah, she's little birthday baby. Okay.
Handout, yes.
Everybody else got handouts? Okay.
Handout.
Handout, sorry.
You didn't give us this.
There
you go.
It's totally fine. Yeah. No, it's totally
Just sitting here.
Sharon,
Yes.
I recently got hired as the executive director of Animals, which you were my reference for like a year ago.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
Just as like a part-time, and then I ended up, in
Awesome.
August. So thanks for playing a role.
Oh, you're welcome. I was disappointed you didn't get it the first time.
Yeah.
They don't know what that is. If you were down here. Did you get a card?
That's it. Thank you so
And
much.
we can use the remote.
And congratulations on the wedding.
Oh, that one.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good over here.
She's not spoiled. She's really stressed, like very, very stressed. So she's a rescue. We're gonna do a lot of people. we're gonna talk about her. I brought her specifically for this reason. I didn't think she was quite the reaction that she's having, but it plays right into what we're talking about today. So everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
She's so sweet.
She's got some fish articles in her oven.
Yeah,
We can
she's
walk
got some
her
pretty
around.
serious allergies.
It's a. My favorite gummy bears.
My breakfast.
The breakfast.
One more minute. So everybody that wants one of these, get one. So like, do you want your phone USB?
Yeah.
There's one right here. I can switch your seats if you want to sit right here.
Oh, that'd be great.
I know. There you go.
Because it gets confused.
Would you be better off here? The plug is right behind me.
Is this your coffee?
Yeah, I just switched my. Oh. What I did.
Does that work? I'm gonna straighten Okay.
Excuse me.
Are we ready?
Oh, I thought you were sitting back there. Oh,
Jeez. Sorry. That's me bumping the table.
Oh, we've got precarious box stacks here. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody's got a snap of them.
They're right here. Oh, sorry. Asleep at the wheel here. That's a great
Early
band.
in our hotel did not have coffee this morning.
Oh, God.
Somebody did not order right, and their storeroom was completely devoid of coffee, and so we had to make a coffee run before we could do anything this morning. It totally into our schedule.
I hear you.
Some days it's a sign for a great day.
Flexibility.
Yes. Which we're going to talk about a little bit of that too. So, so is everybody settled? Are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I am Katie Boucher. I am really excited to be here today, and I am so glad that all of you guys came. I want to thank SNARF for hosting this conference. I know this is the second year. I'm hoping for a lot more years of this because I think this is just a great idea. There's so much opportunity for education here. So I'm going to briefly tell you a little bit about myself, because we got to have that couple of minutes, right? I was that kid that brought home like every stray. I mean, every stray. If it was a frog and it was in a pond and it didn't look like it needed help, I was taking it home to figure out how to help it. And my parents were not in approval of that idea of mine. We could not keep every dog, every cat, every, little critter I found, and so I did not get to keep any of the animals that I brought home. It was pretty traumatic for me. So when I became an adult, I got my own dog and my own horse, which is what I had been for my whole life. And I just really wanted them. I had nothing, absolutely nothing, and I learned the hard way. And so I started doing research. And this was way back in the early 90s. You could not go to college to learn about animal behavior. You could not, unless it was zoology or veterinary medicine, there was no educational track available. You were having to sign up for clinics for like John Lyons or Morelli or those types of people, for horses, which I was heavily into. Dogs, there was very, very little. If you want like breeder affiliated with the show world or something like that, you just did not get any information as to how to handle animals in general. So I learned by the skin of my teeth. I got drug around pastures. I got bit a lot. I got, all of the things that happen when you get animals you know nothing about them happened, and we got through it, and we learned. And I sought out every book and every resource that I could find, and I read it all, and I absorbed it all, and then I went and I tried it out on my victims. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. We figured that out, and we grew. Then my husband's health started declining in 2010, and with cardiac problems and some other issues, and I started to look into service dog training. Go ahead. So thank you for reading your dog and being here. So that is near and dear to my heart. We did train a cardiac dog for him. He still has her, and that took a long time to find that dog and get through the process because we did it by ourselves. We had no idea. So then we had other veterans asking, well, could you help me do that for my dog? And we did. And so that's how my first organization, Puppy Patriots, started. We did that for a few years, but then we found the overwhelming need for the rescue animals. We didn't want to source from breeders at that time at all. We just wanted to source from rescue, and there was just such an abundance of animals in need across the board, not just dogs. I mean, across the board, there's horses that need our help. There's donkeys that need our help. There are cattle that need our help. There are chickens out there. I mean, every year we get inundated with ducks and roosters that people have no idea what they have just bought at Murdoch's or Tractor Supply. And they get it home and it starts growing, or, it's a duck and it can't live in the bathtub. Really, they cannot live in the bathtub. People still do that. And they bring them to the rescue. So that's when we opened at Norris Ark. And we got our 2 acres and we started doing full-blown rescue work. Less on the service dog training, but more on it. And we still do some of that if it's requested of us. And so that's where I am. That's where we started. And one of the things that we found is that people really, there's such a high rate of recidivism, right? So we get the animals out of the shelter, we get them into foster homes, the fosters fail because they don't know how to deal with the shelter stress, the issues that happen with every single animal that goes through that system, or hoarding situations where they never even maybe go into the shelter, or maybe they just work there for a few days and then they end up in a rescue foster situation to recover. And people and so they would fail and they would end up getting bounced. And it's not good for their minds. They need a certain level of stability. And so we started looking into ways that we could really mitigate that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I am so happy to welcome you to the Saving Lives Conference and to Tail Learning Transitions. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to play a game to get going. So can we do a real quick head count? 21 people, that's like perfect. Fantastic. So I need a volunteer to run the board. You don't get to play the game, you just get to do what your band like. So anybody want to volunteer? I'll do that. All right, come on up.
So I can do it
Is she allowed on the floor? Does she want?
She can. She just has a tendency to get a little bit more barky. So, and if you think she needs to go outside, just go ahead and take her out. So she's pretty stoic. All right. So we're going to play Fluffy Feud. And it's kind of like Family Feud, but it's for dogs. So who wants to represent this half of the room?
Lance does.
Oh.
Come on, Lance.
I know his name.
I go over there.
You go over there.
Oh, wow.
But I've never even played Family Feud. So.
This will be fun.
Okay.
What about the things?
All right. And who wants to represent this side of the
I
room?
have my hands full.
Yeah, no, true.
Anybody? Come on up.
Wait a minute.
We even have a buzzer. Yeah, come up and stand next to the table. So you can go to the next slide.
Oh, okay.
So these are all dogs that are rescued right now, except for her. She's been adopted. And yes, all of the dogs that are rescued right now. So go ahead and stand by the table. All right. So I'm going to ask you a question.
He's never played.
This is Ricky. You don't know it. Your goal is to hit the button. The first one that hits the button, leave your hand on it, so we know who the first one is that makes the sound. Okay, so just the first one that gets it is the team that gets to go first. Okay?
Oh.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question.
You have to know the answer to hit the button?
Yes.
Wait, what was that?
You are allowed to guess.
Okay.
Okay.
That is the whole point.
Okay.
Whoever has the first guess, all right?
Oh, first guess, okay.
Name a reason an animal ends up in shelter.
It was a Christmas gift to a friend of the
Okay, so now you get to take a guess. You don't have to buzz it.
Oh, I don't have to
Just
buzz it.
Take a guess.
They end up in the shelters, like, neighbors are complaining that they leave their dog home in the family and it's barking.
Nope, that was what I was looking
Okay,
for.
okay.
Okay, so, guess again.
They're moved.
Oh,
Yep, go ahead and take a guess.
That's
You
unnecessary.
don't have to buzz it.
Okay. They're moving.
Very good. Okay. Take your
And they can't take the
That is
dog.
number one.
Do I do this?
Good job.
Yep, death of caregiver or some family crisis is the number one reason why an animal ends up in the shelter system. You guys can sit down.
thank you.
That was such a good adrenaline rush.
All right, so you guys are the team that's first, right?
Well, okay, but what does that mean?
That means that we're going to continue playing Fluffy Feud and name another reason why the animal ends up in the shelter. And we're talking about cats and dogs.
Allergies.
Allergies is not on the board. Okay, so your turn.
Doesn't get along with that.
Does it get along with another pet? No.
Oh my,
Your turn.
I don't have time.
That one is on
My
board, and I
name
don't remember which number.
behavior. Oh, behavior.
Your time. That is number 4.
I'm allergic.
Allergies. Believe it or not, allergies is not in the top 10.
Yeah. Behavior.
Behavior, so that would be basically lack of training, that's number 8.
Especially
Lack of training.
What do we
call it?
The top one is.
Okay, go ahead.
Inappropriate urination.
That is house training, that is number 5.
I love how she said that.
Again,
Do you solve that one with a doggy door?
sometimes.
If you have a fence.
Sometimes not.
Well,
Go again. That is number 6.
Is this just dogs?
And or cats.
Okay.
It's cats and dogs. And so these statistics come from the Humane Society, Best Friends, and then there was another source that it pulled in to give us this. So,
Having a baby.
so that's number 1. That's family crisis. You guys need help?
So money, finances, towards
Number
food, beds.
Unexpected
We gotta
litter.
pursue.
Unexpected litter.
That is number 10. That's number 10.
Unexpected what?
Litter.
Yep.
an oopsie pregnancy.
Yep. So, go ahead.
His last name.
So I would put that one under number 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kitten or puppy grows up.
So that's number 10. That's pregnancy adolescence. So, your turn.
Would you mind moving back so I can see what
Sure.
that? Thank you.
We've got 3 more.
Okay.
Whose turn is it?
Did we
Ours.
get moving? Yeah,
Yeah.
moving was okay.
Death in the family. We
Yeah,
already
we
got that
got
first
that
one.
Okay, your guys' guess?
Let's see.
Just like rolling my eyes.
Not getting along with other pets.
So we pretty much, that gets lumped into the whole aggression destruction category.
What about barking?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, barking was already guessed.
Okay.
Health. Health issues.
Health issues? Yes. Veterinary needs is number 3.
We got one.
Go again.
How many are left?
Can you lift that up and let us see? They can't see what's on that
Oh,
board.
no, it's okay.
Thank you, Anna. Hey, Race.
We have 2 more.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, that's mine.
That would be lot
Yeah.
10.
Go ahead.
Oh, apartments not being allowed to rent.
I think they classify that in number 1, the family crisis, the moving.
But that wouldn't be moving, that would.
Yeah, but it's,
Well,
it's-
okay,
it's the
yeah.
whole family
Well-
crisis thing, because landlord issues falls into crisis.
Housing insecurity.
Yeah.
That's what we would call it.
Homelessness?
That's all,
That would
that's
be
all
housing,
housing, that
okay.
same thing.
See, we good.
Just start shooting out reasons. Yeah, yep. Two pretty big ones left.
Two pretty big ones.
We already talked about the gifting, like the rabbits during Easter and then they're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they grow up into adult animals.
Yeah, and I think they classify, like adolescents, they classify that as, I didn't
Well,
realize I was getting a young animal, and also my young animal grew up.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
well,
Colonic
so is
life.
pregnancy, adolescence? I was thinking that was human.
no.
Like,
No,
okay.
Animal pregnancy,
Okay.
yeah,
Crisis.
animal pregnancy, yeah.
Like natural disaster.
We both think.
Yeah, that's
crisis. You can't have an animal in
But like if the animal keeps running away.
There you go, that is number 9.
Oh, husky.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can jump a 6-foot fence, that type of dog.
Alright, one more.
Wow.
We talked about the death of homeowners.
Yeah.
Moving death of caregiver.
I know.
Katie, can you give us a hint?
Oh, your dog might get really sometimes.
Oh, separation anxiety.
Right.
I'm surprised it's so low down.
Right, yeah. And so look at the numbers on these, right? So the vast majority of animals are ending up in the shelter for completely human reasons, completely human. That has nothing to do with the animal. So, and expenses, right, so we've got like the top 3, too many animals, not enough time. Right here, and down, with the exception of that one, these are all behavioral. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that, so thank you for playing. Yeah, so we can set that down, thank you so much for giving me animal rescue equipment of Vanna White, you did a fabulous job.
So what you're saying based off the percentages there
Right,
is that about 75+% is because of us. And then everything else would be about ish.
yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. That is absolutely correct. Okay, next slide. Right, and so here we have it all broken down. The way that it breaks down by percentages here, right? So who has thoughts about this?
Oh, I had a lot of thoughts. Probably
You have a lot of
I
thoughts?
shouldn't verbalize. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, go to the next slide.
Yeah. Sorry. I run a cat rescue, and I can tell you that the top 3 we hear 30 times a day.
Yeah, I mean, I get the, I'm moving, I can't take my,
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And yet when you come to this, you say,
Right.
you're 91.
Right.
Have you considered that you won't outlive the same people you had? And they don't care.
And I get that, and I ask them, people say I'm rude sometimes for this, but I ask them if they would rehome their child, if the landlord would allow them to have a child. And, and it's a fair correlation, in my opinion.
Well, and going into the adoption, I can tell you the family agrees. We would always keep them. We would never rehome them. They'll
They're
never come
like
back.
family
Yeah,
to me.
Nobody, but one person in 30 years has done. They don't come back.
Do they at least contact you?
Not all.
That's not
Not all.
So how do we fix this, right? How do we need to handle these animals so that we can recover them from these issues, whether they're human caused or based in something to do with the animal? And we do that with behavioral modification. So some management, but really management is behavior modification. If you do it consistently enough for long enough. So I'm a Lima-based trainer. That means least invasive, minimally aversive. I'm doing a tongue tied on it. So everybody gets confused about what that means. They think that it means that we don't use like any aversive anything ever. That is positive. That's our plus training. That's not what we do. We use a scale. So we use, and it's always from the animal's perspective. The animal determines what is aversive to them, what is pleasant to them, what is rewarding to them, what is beneficial to them, and how they're going to play with us. And everything is a game. Every interaction is a game. So we have to figure out where the animal sits in their perspective. And this is where my talk with Temple Brandon a few years ago was really beneficial, because she took all of that random knowledge that I had accumulated over the years working with animals and taught me how to look at it from the animal's point of view. Like, to literally get down on their level. Like, if I needed to see what Coco was barking at over there, I'd get down to her eye level and see what is she seeing, right? And I know that she's got it's healed now, but it's an old ulcer in her eye. And so I imagine that her vision is probably a little bit cloudy. And she probably doesn't see real well, and she probably sees some shadows. And so I take that into consideration. And it's like, what is she looking at that I'm not seeing as a human? Because our senses are different, completely different. So we use the lightest method first. That's usually our voice. Okay. And our voice, I can talk to you in a soft-pleasing voice. I can talk to you in a louder voice. I can yell at you, or I can say, sit down. Okay, so there's your step. We're all sitting. Which makes it really aversive. So we never start with the strongest, ever. We always start with the lightest. We find out where their baseline is, then we start from there, and we lighten it. Because we want them, if they're running out there and there's a highway out there and we need to turn that dog around and come back to us, we want the slightest movement or whistle or whatever we can get out of our mouths to get that animal to turn around and come to us. We don't want to have to run after them. We don't really want to have a long line on them, which is aversive, and anything attached to an animal is an aversive at some level. It's how you apply it as to how aversive it is to the animal. That's the form. And so we want them to get softer and softer and softer and more responsive. So I practice walking my dogs. I use a slip lead a lot. I will use some harnesses. If I've got some pulling bushes and stuff, I'll use a pull harness just because it helps with communication. But I will use a slip lead, and I will walk them like this. With just my finger, even if they're about to pull. And when they start pulling really hard, I close my finger. That is one level of aversion up from the softest one. So it's small steps. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we have motivators when we're training. We're all familiar with food, right? And it works with cats too. You can absolutely use food for cats, to train cats. Cats are just as trainable as dogs. They just have a different perspective. They have a different viewpoint. They have different motivators. But they are absolutely trainable animals. Otherwise, we couldn't get them to go in the box. They are trainable. Toys are a big one for all animals. We need to engage in play. Take them out for some fun. I had a dog that he was a Pyrenees, and he was not food motivated. He was not interested in toys. But if I let him go sit outside and look at the flowers and just watch like the bees buzz around and stuff in the yard in the sunshine, he felt so rewarded and so happy. And he would start to cooperate with me and learn things if I would just let him outside. Katie, yeah, she has a question. Yes.
So what if there's a situation where none of these are an option? The reason why I'm saying this is I'm dealing with a hoarding case out of Bozeman that had 100 dogs. They were fed raw meat and carcasses. So foods are the treats don't work.
Mm-hmm.
The toys, no. The fun, no. And the comfort, God forbid, no.
Right, right. So you're dealing with some extremes. So
they're feral dogs.
Right, yes. So feral dogs are harder, feral animals are harder because they haven't had sensitization to people, and the experience that they have had, especially coming from borders, is very traumatic for them. Yeah. But they will still seek out all of these things. So it's finding that thing that motivates them. So maybe they don't, food is hard, but you're still gotta feed them,
Right,
right? So we're gonna go into that a little
Okay.
bit further.
okay.
So I don't wanna have to repeat myself.
Yeah.
But it is a very good question, and I'm glad you raised it, all right? So this is Lucy and Zach. They are from Great Pyrenees Rescue Resources, Utah, Montana, and I foster them, and we adore them. They came to us because their caregiver passed away. They were extremely bonded to him. They were extremely bonded to each other. They were absolutely devastated. The estate came in and was going to euthanize them because Lucy was so distraught about her person dying that she would reach out to any man she saw and she would grab them by their clothes and or their leg or whatever, and she would try to hold on to them. They thought she was getting aggressive and trying to bite them and hurt them, which was not the case at all. So they called me, they said, will you please foster these two dogs? I said, absolutely, send them up. And so they brought them up, I think within days, because they had no option, nobody could take care of them because Lucy just put up such a big front. You know, she would bark and everything, and they'd try to leave, and she would grab her, but please come back, right? And that's what clued me in when they told me that she was doing that when they were leaving. They weren't doing that when they were coming in. It was not stay out of my space. It was not I'm scared. It was I don't know what's happening to me. Don't leave me here by myself. And this is my husband David, and this is a bedtime story every single night. After we do chores and we feed them and everything, they come in and they just cuddle with him and he talks to them and just whispers sweet nothing to them. And it is now required. Like he can't get out of this.
So are they now your dogs?
No, they are still available for adoption, and their adoption fee is paid, and they're perfect dogs. Like they're perfect dogs. The only thing is that Lucy will wander if she is not in a secure fence. So she needs a tall secure fence. And the fact that there are two giant dogs together that have to stay together has been problematic in finding them a home. And it's really unfortunate because they're perfectly house trained. They're well-mannered. They're wonderful. We took them in the 4th of July parade with 15,000 people, and they were fabulous. Lucy wore this little glow-in-the-dark, like light-up tiara thing. The whole for kids, you know, she just wore it on her ears the whole day. They just walked all the way down Main Street and just, I mean, they were completely adorable. They're wonderful dogs, and it's my everyday prayer to find homes soon. So, we go to the next slide. Okay, manageable bricks. So, Sue Aylesby is a fantastic clicker-based trainer and service dog trainer in Canada, and she has written 2 books called Steps to Success, and I think in the packet has got her reference information in the back so that you can get her stuff. And she is so good at breaking down the little training pieces into tiny little minuscule pieces so that the animal can digest it. We think too broad as humans. We see big pictures a lot. We don't understand that there are, you know, the animals learn in microseconds. We learn in minutes. That is a big difference. And so when we approach training any task, we think, well, I need to teach you to sit, but we don't understand that there's like a whole series of things that happen before the dog actually puts their butt on the floor. And there's like so many different things. So we want to break it down into small little pieces, as small as we can get it to go, so that we can build the structure that we envision for the dog. Next slide. Okay, so there's 4 basic training modes whenever you're training any animal. You can, and I'm going to try to demonstrate these. No, you can actually give that. Go ahead and give that to her. She'd be really good. Okay, take the leash. All right, come here, Coco. Wait a minute, Coco. Oops, it closed on me. You know, I used to be a waitress. You'd think I'd be able to do this, right?
Isn't that the leg that keeps them?
Yeah, this one doesn't wrong. So. Thank you so much. Okay, so luring is when you lead the animal into the position that you eventually want them to accomplish. Okay? Just like that. That's luring a sit. Luring is very effective. And we have modeling. Right? Laura to get her back up. Let me stand, okay? I touched her and I put her into position. Okay, so that's modeling. Modeling is not a good training method. It is effective to use in very specific certain circumstances to help them get past a roadblock or a hang-up that they're having mentally, but it doesn't activate their brain mechanism to make their muscles move into the position, so it doesn't form the neural pathway, so it doesn't teach. It only puts them in a position, then we reward them, and they're like, oh, all right, well, so it takes forever to train a dog to do anything if you're only using modeling. Luring is very food-based by its nature, so it's a good starting place, but it's not a good ending place. Where you have your power is in shaping and capturing, and they are very, very similar, and a lot of people don't understand the difference in between them. So I'm going to try to demonstrate it. We might borrow your dog. So capturing is when you wait for the animal to do the thing that you want them to do, and then you reward them for it. And then you eventually put a label on it. And so that makes that connection, and so that's what teaches it. Shaping, you incrementally move them into the behavior that you want them and reward them incrementally. So, for example, if I wanted to teach Coco, her, right? Remember, these were on their level, right? So I'm going to lure her into a sit. Do you need some water, Snowy? So I'm going to just, let's see if we can do it. Yes, down. Okay, so we just captured down. Here's the waterfall. So dogs can't think if they're dehydrated. Like they can't get sensory input. And a lot of people don't realize that, and they don't understand it. She's not thirsty. And so their dog will like zone out and tune out from them. And this is different from cats. Because their vasonasal organ is dry, so they're not getting sensory information to their brain. So if you hydrate, make sure they're hydrated, and if they always have water, that will always stay active so that they can think. Because it's like they suddenly go blind. So because dogs see with their nose and with their mouths, not with their eyes. She is so stressed out. I'm sorry, baby. Come here. Why is everyone looking at me? She does not down there. Okay, so like when we were doing listening to the keynote, and she was barking a lot, I was doing the same thing that I was doing with you. So I had food in my hand, so it's kind of luring, but it was actually shaping, because when she would bark, I would wait for quiet, like 3 seconds of quiet, and then I reward her, and then I'm counting the breaths to make sure that that time frame that she is not barking is getting longer before I reward her. So I'm asking for incremental steps of quiet. So that is shaping. If she just went quiet, and then I rewarded her after several minutes of being quiet without any cues or anything from me, that would be capturing. So capturing, you're just waiting for the animal to do whatever it is that you want them to do. Oh, good dog, here's a reward. And eventually they pick up like, oh, okay, every time I do this, she gives me that. So does everybody understand the difference?
Are you using a marker word or anything?
So, and yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Come here. Okay, so everybody understand the 4 modes of training?
If you want to use him, you're welcome to.
Aw, she's got to say hi. All right, come on, Coco. All right, I'm going to give her back to you. Then we go to the next slide. She's sweet.
You have a cookie bag, I'll take her out so she's.
I do not. I left them in the hotel for some odd reason. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
I do not.
I've got a cookie
Where are you
bag.
from?
Huh?
Where are you from? What part of the state? Come on.
Montana.
Oh, you're in
Yeah,
Montana.
we came, Montana.
Wait, I have it.
There you go. job.
Yes.
There you go. Oh, she's got one?
I got one.
Okay, next slide.
Next slide.
Sorry.
All right. So now we need to control the difficulty, right? We've got our 4 training modes. So there are 3 basic ways that you control the difficulty. You either use these things to settle the dog down and bring them back to a place where they can think, or you do this to increase the difficulty so that they learn more and they advance themselves. So the very first thing is distance. If you are out there walking your dog and there is another dog barking along a fence line and your dog just starts reacting, the best thing you can do is give space in between that fence line and your dog. Give them as much space as it takes for them to stop reacting. We're going to talk about specific things with reactivity in a minute. Duration. So that's how long. How long can they do it? So we were doing with Coco, and we're waiting for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and we're waiting for 4 seconds, and we're waiting for 5 seconds before we give that reward, so that we can build up to a 10-minute stay, or half an hour being quiet, whatever it takes. Distraction. Chickens are great distractions, right? Squirrels, everything else. The distractions are also people talking. TV being on. Being in a different place. Having a new person over.
So just a quick question. So I have a rescue dog that I rescued, and he's very reactive to certain things, like the vacuum. He attacks the vacuum. So basically, I put him in his little kennel house while I'm vacuuming. But now I'm fostering kittens, which I do, 1 or 2 times a year, and he will just stand by the gate and bark continuously
At the kittens?
At the kittens,
Okay.
if I'm in there with the kittens.
Only when you're there.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
only when I'm in there. And
Okay.
so, I mean, it's
Those
really.
kittens are going to hurt you one day.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so, yeah, so that's what he thinks, that he's trying to protect me. I guess, or he wants to just get to the kittens.
No.
Jealousy, is it?
No, it's not jealousy. The kittens are going to hurt her in his mind. Okay, from his point of view.
So is it better to remove him from that area, or bring him in?
How do the kittens react?
They don't care, they're used to it
Yeah.
now. They just listen to him
So I would,
barking.
I would use
Yeah,
some of
whatever.
these. I would use some of these things and reward him for a couple of seconds of quiet.
Okay.
A couple more seconds of quiet.
Yeah.
And you can also use some toys to distract him. You send him off
Yeah.
somewhere. If he is really bad, like he is trying to get through the fence, or
He
anything
would
like
if he
that,
could, yeah.
right. But I mean, if that's his mindset,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter if he can physically do it or not. If that's his mindset, like I'm going to get through that gate no matter what, then I would put him in the crate and start with the crate.
Yeah.
You could even take the crate and put the crate far enough away from the gate with the kittens in it so that he doesn't bark at them when you're in there.
Okay.
And then just move it closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
As
Let's see how
as he stops reacting to you being in there with the kittens. Because I would, I'm pretty about 90% sure that it's because he thinks that those kittens are.
That actually makes sense, because he's not standing there barking at him when
Yeah.
when my husband or I
Right.
are not in.
Does not understand them, and
Right.
and what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just incremental steps, and you got to be fluid with these things, right? So distractions are everywhere, all the time. A lot of times, if I've got a brand new dog and they are freaked out or they're really young, I will take them into the bathroom where it's a small space. There's nothing going on. It's pretty quiet, and I can control like all of the parameters. And I will just sit there and work with the dog, and I'll just ask for sit. I'm just going to teach this dog to sit. It's going to take me 5 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't all that. Sometimes it takes a lot longer. But we're building that relationship of peaceful stability and quiet in between us. Go ahead.
So I have rescue dogs who were never socialized. They were with boarders for 2 years roughly. They're going on 10 and they still don't know sit, stay down. I have tried everything. I've contacted multiple trainers. They want $3,000 up front to train them.
Which I think is a travesty, by the way. I am a trainer, and I think that is a travesty.
Yeah. And then they bark at I live on a corner. They bark at everything. And can you give me suggestions for both of those things? Oh, okay.
All right, so go ahead and let's click hit enter. We're going to watch this little video. Can everybody see it? We don't have any sound, so I'll just narrate. You should be able to see.
There's our sound.
Right, so the goal here that I am trying to get from her, she has this stand-up cue that her previous people taught her. I think it's the only thing I You're larger than life, sweetheart. So I just want her to sit quietly in the room and stay in there with the door open. That is my goal. So I'm going to reward her. Come here a little bit. And I don't want her to barge out the door. When I open it, I just want her to sit there and wait for me to release her. My release word is break. Because she's so small, it's a little bit harder. So I'm not going to open it as soon as they move. So the door will only open if she's sitting. It's the only way it can function. It's the way it operates. She needs to believe that wholeheartedly in her mind. It's harder because she's smaller. There we go. Okay, reward her. Go back up. So crate training like this is so vital. Even if you're not going to keep your dog in a crate, they need to be comfortable in a crate. If they ever come into any kind of an emergency situation, if they go to the vet, they're going to go into a crate for anything. So, but beyond that, it teaches them how to be within themselves, to be comfortable, and to know that they are safe, and that somebody's going to come and let them out. She's thinking, she's like, I don't know what this crazy person wants from me. I'm thinking, what has gotten me that piece of food before? I just don't know. You see, I don't know. How do I do this? Let me see if I can try something. I don't know, what should I try?
So you don't push their butt down?
Absolutely not.
Never?
No, that does not teach a dog to sit. That teaches a dog that a person will push their butt down.
But if you say sit at the same time, it doesn't work.
Right, so she sits, she gets rewarded. Right, so she's learning to be comfortable in the crate. She's learning to sit to get the door open. Right, yes. Right. Now watch how fast she starts giving me that sit. Right. Okay, the door's open. Can I go out it? No, wait, it's shut. What do? I sit. And I'm not saying sit. I'm just waiting for her to sit. Then we reward that. As soon as she gets up, the door shuts. And she's going to start making that connection in between. Every time I sit, the door opens and she gives me food. There's the break. I release her. She gets a reward for that. Now, as they get good at this, they will zoom right back in that crate. As soon as you reward them, they will go back in there because where was the value at? The value was in the crate. I got so many treats when I was in there sitting there quietly. I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to get more. And plus she's talking to me really nice, and I really like it when she talks so nice. So she's learning to sit, she's learning to be in the crate, she's learning to leave the crate under control. A lot of people will ask their dogs to lie down in the crate and then release them that way. That is launching their animal from a gate. A sit is a controlled position. So the equivalent is exactly as us sitting in a chair, right? So we're comfortable, we're not ready to like go run a marathon or anything like that. We're not a thoroughbred in the starting gate, ready to go out. Let's see, look at that focus. Doing what you like. Back in the crate. Well, see, now she blew past me, so I'm going to send her right back in. She's not going to get a reward for that because she blew past me. She got a reward for saying I did mess up there. And that's okay when we do that. We always mess up. When we're training our animals, we mess up. I consider it a game. When they do it right and they get rewarded, then I win. And when they do it wrong and I don't catch it, then they win. Okay? but then at the end, we all win.
Do you eventually start saying sit while they're sitting, or how long do you wait to do that?
So whenever we put a verbal cue on anything, that's just a label. So we get the behavior rock solid. We get that response, whatever the conditions are that we put on the dog and the criteria, we ask for that rock solid behavior in response to our visual cues, then we label it. And at that point, once they learn that label, then you can start asking them for those things. Because we can talk to them, it doesn't matter what words you use, it doesn't mean anything to them until we pair it with a behavior that's already said. So, I mean, we can sit there and sit all day long, and then never sit.
What about using hand signal when you're starting?
Hand signals are great, right? So if you notice, my hand is like this, all the time, and I'm gonna show you in another video how we start that with the hand signals. Yeah. Okay, so we can go to the next slide.
So I have a quick question.
Yep.
In a shelter setting, when you have a dog that's highly aroused and trying to blast out of their kennel, what would your recommendation be? Okay, even with all of the distractions around? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you something with a couple of other dogs in more of a kennel type situation and everything where we're starting that process of not launching through that door. That is a safety issue for you, for the dog, it really is. And it is one of my goals to get shelters to start taking just take a breath, you know, and that leads right into here, right? So our emotional state feeds onto their emotional state, their emotional state feeds onto our emotional state, and it affects both animals' behavior because we're animals too, right? So every time we work with an animal, we're learning something, they're learning something, so let's be conscious and control what that is. Okay, so before I go out and work with anybody, it's, okay, I'm gonna go work with Valentino. Yesterday he only half jumped over me, so maybe we can get just a quarter jump over me today, and I'll set that criteria of what I expect from him. Sometimes we don't make it. Sometimes it fails. Sometimes I have to revise my plan right in the middle of it because it's just gone off script. And that's where having like a lot of tools and a lot of different ideas, and I'm gonna try this, and this, and eventually we're gonna get there. But we don't stop trying until we get there. They're doing the same thing. They are kind of, you know, we're shaping, we're, you know, looking for caption and like, how do I get that piece of food out of her hand? And they're throwing sits at me and downs at me. Maybe they jump on me. Maybe they bark on me. Maybe they swipe me with their paw. Maybe they run around the block. You know, those are all behaviors that they're giving to me to try to get that reward. So, and then when they hit it, right, they hit that right behavior that I'm looking for, and then they get rewarded right away. Then I go boom, 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 because that mental connection is made in their brain. They form that neural pathway, and then we're like well down the road to that behavior being trained, where we can rely on it. Yeah. So every interaction teaches both human and animal. Be conscious of your emotional state. There are times when I am just really bent out of sorts, and I have to go work out with the animals, and I will just do a little bit of meditation before I go. And just calm myself down and put myself into a more appropriate state to be able to deal with them so that I don't feed them my negative energy, because all that does is it compounds it, and then they fail. Next slide. Shelter stress, fear, anxiety, stress. Who's here heard that before? Like everybody, right? So these manifest in all different sorts of ways. There are different, I mean, she is stressed out to the max right now. She's got diarrhea. She's broken out in hives since we put her in the car yesterday to come here. She was itching really bad. We had to go to the cortisone clean. She's been vomiting all day, and it's just all, she's a bundle of nerves. So I've had her about a month. She was bought from a breeder at 8 weeks old. She's 4 years old now. She was spayed. Then the family that bought her from the breeder decided, oh, we love these Frenchies. Let's breed more of them. And they got breeding animals. And she said, don't you love me anymore? And she started fighting with the breeding bitches. And so they rehomed her to a friend who promised to keep her forever and determined if, you know, they ever could keep her. But she had severe resource guarding aggression over all of her possessions, and she wouldn't tolerate other dogs around any of her stuff, and she was starting to bite people, and I mean, she attacks her food bowl, and it is serious. If she was a bigger dog, they probably would behavior euthanize her because it is so severe. This is why I brought her today. I didn't expect the extreme stress reaction. And so that person that got her from the person who got her from the breeder surrendered her to me because they couldn't fix the big surprise, the resource guarding, and that's what I do, is we stop that cycle of home after home after home with the same problems that are just escalating. We've got to stop that. We've got to get them into recovery. We need to, it takes 3 months of decompression before we can ever really assess them for who they are. They've got to have that chance. So fear will result in biting. It'll result in cowering. It'll result in them pooping their crate like every single day. So will anxiety and stress. And and a lot of things will stress out an animal, but you don't think you're stressing out the animal. It could be simply who's next to them. And maybe they're not even like harassing each other or anything. They just don't like the vibe of the dog next to them. So you switch kennels around, right? And you just move them around. You find a place where they're comfortable and you reduce that stress. So be aware that pretty much every animal that comes out of a shelter is going to have FAS to some extent or another. It's just the nature of it. We can't do anything about the fact that they go through that, but we can sure do a lot about recovering them as quickly as possible. Next slide. Okay, so back to our fluffy feud game. Just a little review of where we are. So we've got human, 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 and then I consider this a human cause too. So half of them are human related, half of them are not. Next slide. If we shuffle it around and we sort it according to behavior, what is the number one reason animals end up in the shelter? House training is more than just pottying in the house. And honestly, of all of these other reasons, when I get them in, they've got house training issues. They're chewing stuff up, they're scratching the floors, they're peeing all over the place, they're completely stressed out, and they're making those mistakes that people don't know that they can fix and they can't live with. So if we can fix house training problems across the board, we will have a lot more adoptable animals. We'll be able to get them through this faster. And so let's really concentrate on house training. Next slide. So we're going to take the time it takes. I have a big saying, patience plus persistence equals perseverance. Live it. Live it. Yeah, you just have the patience to stick it through, gain your knowledge, don't give up, and you will get there in the end. The animal will succeed. John Lyons is the one that said, take the time it takes so it takes less time. And I say that mantra every single day. I used to do horses, and we'd go out and go to some hoarders. We got to go get the untouched, basically feral horses out of the pasture, and it's 40 acres and everything, and they're not going to let us walk up to them with a halter and lead her up. Longest it ever took me was 2 days to get them corralled and get them into a trailer. Take the time it takes, so it takes less time. Because we could have gone out there and chased them for a month and not made any progress. Right? It takes 3 days for an animal to recover from the shock of change, any change. It takes 3 weeks for them to learn any new routine, any new habit, any new behavior, any new anything. It takes 3 months for them to feel comfortable with it. Tell all of your adopters this. It should be part of your packet that you send out with every single adoptable animal, that this should be the expectation. If you have had the dog for 2 days and you can't deal with the whatever, you need to contact the rescue or a trainer or something to figure out how to help that animal move down this path. And then I have an observation that I made over many years and working with many animals. It takes an animal 4 tries of doing something before they really get it. And the 3rd time will be an utter disaster. A lot of times. It's the 3rd ride when you get bumped off, not the 1st. Yeah. So we're, when we take the time that it takes, all of our animals need care. We're cleaning that litter box. We're cleaning up the yard. We're feeding the dog every single day, hopefully more than once a day. We're asking them to come and greet us at the door. We're having all of these interactions with them. They are all training opportunities. They are all your 5 minutes a day that you need for training. You don't have to set aside special time to train your dog.
or to work with your animal, you can just do it through how you're caring for them. If you set criteria and be specific about what you want from the animal to return to you for bringing them their food. Go ahead. Wait for it. One of the big things I use is auto trainers. And auto trainers are a thing like a Kong that you stuff. Everybody should have this recipe in their packet. I believe in Kongs, stuffed Kongs. A plain rubber Kong with nothing in it is nothing more than a ball. Some dogs like them, some dogs don't. But all dogs like to eat at some point. We will, if a dog is having pretty extreme problems, like some of these stressors, like the hoarding cases especially, where it's difficult to even handle them or manage them at all, we'll stuff Kongs for them and we'll give them the Kong. Because when they're eating the Kong, guess what they're not doing? They're not stressing out. They're not digging at their crate. They're not barking. They're not peeing on the floor. They're not chewing stuff up. They are concentrating on getting the food out of that piece of rubber. And that teaches them, because they're being rewarded while they're being calm, it's teaching them to be calm. It is setting that behavior of calm. I just lie here and I just chew on this and it's good. So when we've got hoarders and stuff like that, that is how we will feed them. We will measure out their ration of food, we'll stuff it into a Kong, we'll freeze that Kong, and then that is how they get their breakfast and their dinner. And they get really good at cleaning them out. If you've got an animal, a dog, cats can have Kongs too. So I like.
Really?
Yes, they actually make specific cat Kongs, and they do use them. So yeah, they're awesome. And they've got it's a different texture of rubber and everything, so it's more appropriate for a cat. They've got puppy Kongs, they've got senior Kongs, they've got, tough chewer Kongs. Kong is great, and they're American made and sourced out of Denver. So that's another thing that I like. I'm big about America. Anybody who's been on my Facebook knows that. Yeah, so we'll give those hoarding cases their Kong, and they will just sit down and they will enjoy the Kong. If they don't know how, if you give them a frozen stuffed one and they're like, oh, what is this? We'll put just dry kibble in the Kong and give it to them and let them roll around it, and then food falls out of it, and they learn pretty quickly how to use that Kong. So usually only have to put the dry kibble alone without freezing it like a couple of times, and they figure it out pretty fast. So I know that there's a lot of complaints from people that my dog won't touch a Kong. It's because they're not using it right. Okay, next slide. Oh, before I say that, so we've got another video, but before I conclude with that one, there are other auto trainers. Like I've got a St. Bernard that I've had for over a year now that is an extreme jumper. He should be a show jumping horse. I'm not even kidding. I can stand here like this and he can jump clear over me. His name is Valentino. I've got it on video, so I'm not making it up. But that also means that he could jump a 6-foot fence, and he did. And he would just go gallivanting all over the place.
What about using I know they make harnesses for jumping, like anti-jump harnesses. Do you recommend those or not?
So it depends on the situation in the dog. Any tool, you need to apply it to the situation in the dog. And is it communicating with that dog in a way that dog understands your intent? So with Valentino, I got the 3-in-1 Pet Safe harness for him, which is a no-pull harness. The reason I got that is because it has a front clip and it has a back clip. The front clip is on a martingale, which is very effective. So when I was trying to teach him that he cannot jump over things, he needs to be respectful and he needs to sit and wait for me. He also mugs me. They taught him when he was a puppy that it's cool to wrestle. It's not cool to teach a St. Bernard puppy that it's okay to wrestle. It really causes problems later, and that's why he ended up in the shelter, because they couldn't deal with him. And he's a big dog. And he mugs me. He mugs me constantly. And he's getting better, but it is slow progress because he was imprinted this way, that it was okay to do this to people. And so it is very hard to get them past that, and it just takes more time and consistency. I did use an aversive on him. I used a sonic device just to get him so that he wouldn't hurt me just a few times, so that he learned, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't just jump at her like that and bite her in the face. Because he reached up and he tried to grab my hair with his mouth. It could be my nose, my ear. And so what we did was we put that harness on him, and then I put him on a trolley line. So this is an overhead line, 60 foot long. It's got stoppers on it. We put the stoppers so that the line that goes down to the harness is far enough away from the fence so that when he charges that fence to go and jump, it pulls him back. But he's not, the line is not long enough so that if he did happen to jump over the fence, he couldn't like get over, like it will stop him before he can even get to that fence. And over time, that time repetition, I think we did it for about a month, and then we switched him to a ground line when he was on turnout, just so, and you know, this is where the baby steps are, right, the incremental steps. So when he would come and charge me and everything, he would get pulled back and put into that sit. Because that's what I wanted him to. All I want you to do is sit, guy. I just want you to sit. I will give you a treat if you just sit. I don't want you to jump on me. I don't want you to bite my face. I don't want you to mug me. I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to get in it. I just want you to sit and you'll get your treat. Now I can let him out of his kennel. I can go like that. He goes out the door. He sits right outside the door and he waits for his treat. And it's a whole lot easier to manage him that way. So that those trolley lines like that, that is also an auto trainer because it's and some people call them tie-offs. Yeah, and so it's just putting a physical barrier in between you and the dog, basically, that's an invisible barrier. And so they don't know that they're on that line. And it just has that physical effect on them. You can't do it with a collar because a collar will choke them and activate their fight, flight, reflex. So you've got to use a harness to use that kind of an auto trainer situation. Chasing cars does the same thing, although that's like the first step. And then we want to move them past that and move them onto a distraction and a displacement activity. So go ahead and click and okay, go ahead.
We used a sonic device when we first got them. It was the worst thing I've ever done. All three of them were getting out underneath the gate. One of them, I went out to let him in at 3 a.m. She had her neck stuck under, the 70-pound dog under this much fence.
Yeah, so let's talk about sonics and aversives. And a sonic, a shock collar, prong collar, all of these things, these are extreme aversives. They should only be used by professionals in certain circumstances for certain effects for only so long. So we got the sonic. We wanted to see what kind of an effect it would have on the dogs. How could we use this tool? How does this tool work? Because a lot of people are getting them because they're walking their dogs and then they're activating it at dogs that are in their yards, doing their job, barking and stuff. And not only is that wrong to do to the animal, you have no idea. Maybe that dog is supposed to bark at you walking past. So there's like a moral thing with that, but we wanted to see how does this affect the animal? How does this work? So we tried it on several of the rescue dogs, and I cannot recommend them. I absolutely cannot recommend them, except for the professionals that know exactly what they're doing, because we ended up with extreme fear reactions. I think they cause hearing loss. It's unpredictable. It's absolutely unpredictable. We could not tell, is this dog how they're gonna respond to it? And if you don't know how a stimulus is gonna make the animal react generally, then you just shouldn't use it because it doesn't inform and it's not a useful tool. Same with shock collars, same with prong collars. One of my worst things is when trainers will say, oh, you have a large dog. That puppy, that 8-week-old puppy is going to be a big dog. Put that prong collar on him and get him under control right away. Nope, you're going to end up with a puller that you can't cure. You're going to end up with a dog who might end up being a biter because that prong collar is a bite on the neck from their perspective. And so that activates their fight, flight reflex, and you just end up with an escalated product. So be wary when you see dogs with prong collars on. They might not be an aggressive dog, but you don't know when that switch is going to be like, hey, I've just had enough with this. Get off my neck.
What about TENS units? Do you ever use those for training?
So that's basically the same thing as a shock collar. That's electric shock. I don't use electric shock. That can cause heart failure in a dog.
Because one of these trainers that came out, that's how they do it, but they say that, and they tried it out, and the dogs reacted okay, but I'm really nervous about even using it.
So I have seen some sensitive dogs break out in rashes. I've seen dogs have heart failure. I have seen dogs
from TENS units?
From any electrical application, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's just not. They're so much more sensitive than we are. And we, that people put it on their wrist or on their own neck and stuff, and oh well, I can handle it. Yeah, you're a human and you knew it was coming. Yeah, the dog doesn't know. Now, I will on occasion, if we've got like a large livestock area, or maybe we've got a dog that's trying to get into a chicken coop, that, and we wanna stop that, is I will recommend a hot wire that is separate from the dog, right? So it is the dog's choice whether or not they touch it. They usually touch it one time, and they never touch it again, and then we've solved that problem because they're like, well, I'm not gonna, that really hurt last time, so I'm not gonna do that. But that is a different kind of a tool. And a lot of times people, well, there's hot wire fences for horses, so it's okay for me to put a shock collar on my dog to stop them from barking. I don't know why some people make that correlation, but they do. And it's not a fair comparison. It's really trying to compare apples to oranges. So go ahead and push play on that. Here we are working on her resource guarding. And I use tug a lot. And I come up with all kinds of crazy games to play with my dogs. I couldn't create a list of how many games I've created to play with the dogs because it's pretty much an individualized situation. Right, so she has a serious problem with letting go of stuff that she believes is hers. Look at that dog. So the rules of tug are: the dog cannot rip the toy out of your hand. You cannot rip the toy out of the dog's mouth. We don't do up and down tugging. This is damaging to their physicality. And when we say if their teeth touch us, the game stops. And when we say drop, the play stops. So we just hold still and we wait. And with like Malinois, it takes forever and ever and ever because they don't teach them this when they're puppies. And that's a whole other thing. So we wait, and then as soon as they let go, we give them back that toy and we play again. So playing tug is the reward for letting go, playing tug. Self-reinforcing behavior. So that's how your game should be designed, so that they're self-feeding, so that you don't have to get the food reward. She was having a little bit of trouble finally letting go, so we've introduced a little food reward. Sometimes that's a bad idea. Sometimes dogs get so concentrated on the food that they forget to play the game. If that happens, we put the food away and we start back over, and maybe I'll get another toy and I'll trade toys with them. So being fluid in your gameplay and being able to adjust on the fly and work those things out, it will really help you. Every dog is an individual and a little bit different, and so make sure that your games are too. All right, we can go on. Social play, go ahead and click. Dogs learn from each other. These are puppies. That is, Tuck is the bloodhound. He is 9 months old. And Dax is the small guy, and he is a 6-month-old majestic treehound. They are both still intact right now. Dax gets neutered on Wednesday. Tuck will get neutered when he gets to be about 1 year old. Some large breeds have joint issues if we neuter them too young, and I think we're actually going to keep him and train him for search and rescue. Bloodhounds don't come in every day. And he is a paper bloodhound from Idaho, originally. Right, so Dax has some resource guarding issues too with other dogs, and he gets a little grumbly. So we give him this great big stick.
Go on, go play. Tuck, go get the stick.
And we want cooperative play. And just getting out and see Dax says, get away from me. And Tuck's like, I don't care, whatever. Which is exactly what we want, right? We want the I don't care response, so that Dax is like, oh, this is no big deal. I guess we can play together. Right? And look at them. Socialization is so very important. And it's important for cats too and other animals too. It's not just dogs that need social play. They all need it. None of these animals live in a void.
Dax, come. Good boy.
So how do you teach a 10-year-old dog to play that they don't do balls, frisbees, sticks?
There's something he likes.
The only thing is calm with peanut butter.
There you go. Yep,
But
toss it. Okay, toss it.
And then they just sit there and chew it. But
yep.
I mean, is there a way to teach a dog that old to play or not?
So there's things that he likes to do, and there might be reasons why he doesn't want to play. So he might, maybe he's just not into that. Like Oscar didn't like to play either, so I let him smell daffodils. That's okay, right? We go outside and we just sit in the garden for a little while, and he'd get to smell the daffodils, or maybe we'd go for a walk on the river, and he'd get to nose around and look at the little tadpoles and the frogs jumping all over his place, and that made his day. He would do anything for me if he knew we were going to go to the river.
I mean, I can walk them half a block and they're done.
Yep.
And it's back home.
He's just not into that. Yeah,
So,
just a fun thing
but
to
I've been
do.
told that they really need that. And it makes sense. They need that stimulation of smelling the outside,
Yeah.
smelling the world.
Yeah.
But how do you do that if they won't even walk half a block? And it's a fight.
So you start with a quarter of a block. I
Okay.
had a beagle show up at my place one time. And I didn't understand hound dogs at the time, and that they eat everything. Everything. That poor dog, if it smelled, he ate it. He would consume it. Like, he got in there coverage. He ate an entire package of Oreos, plastic, cardboard, every single Oreo. I was certain he was going to die. He did not. He ate a 5-pound roll of hamburger, plastic, staple, everything. I was absolutely convinced he was going to die before I got into that. He did not. Shampoo bottles. I mean, if it smelled, that dog ate it. Because he ate so much stuff, he got enormously fat. Enormously fat, and we had to get him to lose weight, but he could not walk out to the mailbox. He was so fat. And so we just started walking out the door. And we took those few steps. And then we went back inside because he was starting to overheat, and every time he would tired, and every day we'd take one more step until we were at to the mailbox. Then we were at to the end of the driveway. Then we were down to the end of the street. Then we were around the block. Then we were walking a mile. Okay? Baby steps. Manageable bricks. Okay, go ahead and go on to the next one. Okay, so I've explained this one a little bit before we start it. I have a feeding routine. My routine is rock solid, consistent. It never, ever, ever, ever changes. It drives my husband crazy because I have no flexibility about my routine. Within my routine of all the things that I do, I have great flexibility as to how we do it, but my routine, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, everybody goes out. Everybody gets fed at this time. So the dogs know what to expect. They each have their feeding station, and they all have to sit before they get their food. Every single dog that comes into my place must sit before they get served their food. And when the first day when they're in there, sometimes it is 5 minutes of me sitting there holding that bowl, waiting for that sit, because I'm capturing the sit. I'm not going to model it. I'm not going to lure it. I'm not going to shape it. I'm going to capture that sit the very first time. As soon as they put their little butt on the floor, I'm going to put that food bowl down. The next time it's going to take me half as long. The next time it's going to take me even half as long as that. And so we're going to head and push play. So I've gone outside to go get the dogs. But notice he's sitting, right? And watch that. Yeah. He's not going to get up. He's going to sit, right? And a lot of them will do that. They'll do that double. I'm sitting. I'm sitting. So Dax has been doing it less time, but even he will sit. I'm taking care of 17 dogs right now, and every single one of them sits. I feed twice a day. Every single one of them sits before they get their meal. Every single one of them. We had 40. That was too much. Yeah. So, any questions about that? So this is part of my house training routine and my feeding routine. We get this sit. These two are puppies, so you notice in their crate there's no blankets or anything. Tuck has a water bowl. Dax does not right now because Dax is still new and going through this. We don't put blankets in when we're house training. One of the things that people will say is, the dog keeps peeing on my bed and I can't get them to stop peeing on my bed. And that tells me that they were taught as puppies or at some point in their life to pee on a soft surface or allowed to pee on a soft surface that is imprinted on them, and we have to change that tactile sensation on their feet so that they know where to pee appropriately. So when we don't put a blanket in their crate, then if they have an accident in their crate, it's unpleasant for them. Of course, we can clean it up right away. But if we put a blanket in there and they pee on it, it absorbs it, and they don't have that unpleasant reaction, and then they have learned to pee on the fabric. And it is very hard to change. So until they're house trained, until they give me reliable behavior, they don't get blankets. This also happens if they're chewing blankets up. That is another thing. They'll get a Kong instead of a blanket, so they learn to appropriately chew. When you're brand new house training a puppy and they don't have full bladder development yet, you've got to ration the water. Dax has a water bowl that's right over here, and I make sure that he gets his water on a regular interval, and then we time it, right? So when the dog first comes in, we give them their water, they go in their crate, they spend an hour in there, I go out, take them outside, they go pee, they get their treat, we go back in, we get a drink of water, we go in the crate, and we do that, for about 2 weeks. And then they learn, I'm gonna pee outside, I get food when I go and I pee outside, so I'm gonna hold it up for that, and we start to build that bladder control so that they can physically go through the house training and everything. So that's why Dax does not have a water bucket, because he's still going through that process. By no means do we deny them water, we ration it. Okay, and we keep a clock, and we keep a log, and we keep a track so that they're doing it. So if you're having, and it works with school as well, but specifically for urination, if you're having problems with a dog urinating, start them like the puppies, reset them, take away all the comfort stuff, start rationing the water, and put them on that puppy schedule that you would do if they were 8 years old, and find out where the dog is at. So we'll time them. Some dogs come in and they're okay for 3 hours, so that's why our clock starts at 3 hours. Go ahead. All right, to come and sit. This is really good. So if you've got a reactive dog, and it doesn't matter what they're reacting at, your goal is to turn their back to whatever they are reacting to, whatever the stimulus is, whatever they're afraid of, whatever is barking at them that they can't deal with, you're going to turn their back to it. So this is how we're going to do it. And this is Carson. He came out of a California kill shelter this March. I actually think he's related to the other single one who came out of California kill shelter a year before. I think they came from the same breeder. I just suspect it. They have the same energy about them. So notice he gets to sit before he comes out that gate, right? And this guy pulls, he pulls hard. Breathing swiftly, he's very food motivated. Get a treat bag. Okay, so this is my goal. This is what we're going to do, dude, okay? We're going to sit, right? He's reacting, back up 2 steps. Sit. Reward. Go about a walk. Reacting, back up 2 steps. Don't turn around, back up.
How is he reacting? Pulling you?
So we're pretending. We demonstrate. Right. So
Oh.
if there's like a dog that he sees down
I
like
see
that
what you're saying.
thing, right? He's going to blow his top. We're going to turn him around. The easiest way to turn them around is to back up 2-3 steps, ask for that sit, reward them, because their focus is then on you and the behavior of sitting, which is a calming behavior where they have impulse control.
He's got a nice prance on him.
Oh, he's beautiful. I love Carson. He's a sweet boy. He is dog aggressive, so finding him a home will be a little harder because same for people like to have him release something else. I have 4 of my own. Right? And so when we're teaching, we want muscle memory whenever we have a reactive dog. So I encourage all people with their dogs to teach them to come and sit. So we'll go out and we'll walk a mile, and I will do that exercise about every 20 feet. When I'm backing up 2 steps, asking for the sit, reward them. You've done it 400 times in that walk a mile. You do that for a week, and then they have got that much. As soon as you start backing up, they're going to come to you and they're going to sit. This works for recall. It stops the reactivity. It reduces their stress level. It calms them down. It puts their focus back on you, and they are good to go. Next slide. All right. So our behavioral solutions. We want to mix and match all of these techniques, and there's so many that I couldn't even cover today. I mean, you can do probably a 3-day seminar on this, all that stuff. So with house training, right, we're going to do the routine, we're going to do the crate training, right? We're probably going to do some other things. We're going to tone it out. Aggression and destruction, we're going to put in that structured play and that auto training so that they're learning not to chew up other things by learning to chew on a calm only. We're going to learn to drop things instead of being possessive of things and resource guarding of things, by playing tug and learning to drop and learning to have a give and take and a share, right? Separation anxiety, it's the same thing. The auto training for separation anxiety is huge. Kongs for separation anxiety is just, it's a phenomenal resource to be able to use, and it's so easy. Any lack of training, I mean, just get out there and when you're caring for your dog, like I ask for that sit before we feed them. That is the foundation of everything. Then we can start asking for other behaviors when we're taking care of them. Maybe we need to trim toenails, and so we're going to ask them to lie down for them. Before we start with that, we're going to heavily reward that activity because it is very traumatic. Right? Escape artists, we're going to go to that auto training trolley, and we're also going to play with them more. Often when a dog especially is escaping, it's because they are bored or they think they've lost something that they need to go find. So if we can change that mental outlook about them and how, like Lucy, when she first arrived, she was pining for her owner so bad that it had passed. But she was she broke through the bottom of her doghouse that we had her in the decompression area. She ripped the wood up and crawled out underneath and came around and was out there with my geese and my ducks, looking for her person. And so she did hurt them. She lost that part of the dog. She was fine. But she was just, she's just desperate to find him. And she'd start walking down the highway and Nancy. And we go get her and everything. But as soon as she found David and she started getting her bedtime stories, that behavior stopped. So if we could find out, figure out why they're doing the thing, and
Did she get to see the body?
I don't know. I suspect that he passed in their presence and then they took him away. Yeah. But that is complete speculation on my part, because based on her behavior towards other men when they leave. It's like she's like, please come back, don't leave me. And but maybe he went away. Maybe he was fine and got taken away by an ambulance. I just don't know.
That's so important for
dogs
and cats to
right.
to
and
see
that
the
was
body.
one thing that we did. We actually, after they arrived and I saw how stressed out the dogs were, we asked the estate to send us some things that smelled like it. And that was massive. It was so huge and it settled them down. And that also helped her stop looking for him because his scent was there. She didn't have to go look for his scent anymore because there it was.
That's really smart.
So that's why. Okay, so here, I think you guys all have this in your packet. These are just some of the resources that I recommend. I also have a huge email packet of like a training book and everything from Dr. Dunbar and some behavior sheets. They are free distribution. I will email them to anybody that wants them. Just contact me. You can contact, I think I'm going to give it to Glenn as well so that she can distribute it. Because it's great for people that are getting a new dog. It's great for people that are having behavior problems. Shelters should be distributing these. All of us should be distributing these. They're free. Dr. Dunbar wants to change the world for dogs for the better, and he does not want any money for this stuff. So I am happy to distribute them and send them out to you. Sue Elfi is a fantastic person. She's a wonderful person to talk to, and training levels is absolutely amazing. So. Yeah, and if you've got specific resource guarding and aggression issues with dogs, Jane Donaldson's Fight and Mind books, they're cheap, they're available on Amazon, and they are the go-to. They're like tiny little books, they're easy to read, and they solve problems. Pick them up and do that. Susan Garrett, if you're having problems with crate games, or you want to learn more about shaking, Susan Garrett is the person. So, yeah. Do we have any more questions? So I think, are we running low on time?
We're out of time.
We're out of time.
Yeah, okay. Oh boy, we did.
You did good.
So I will be available at Q&A for lunch if anybody has any more specific questions. And you can reach me, because I'll have my number. You can reach me. So.
Oh, hey, you guys can
I
break.
talked too much. All right.